All right, happy Friday and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for February the 21st, 2025, the third of 4 Fridays this month, the 8th of the year, and the final day of what has been an incredible week, and capping off the first month of President Trump's historic second term in office.
We are proud to announce that the president will host his first official cabinet meeting here at the White House next Wednesday, February 26th. In just 4 weeks, President Trump has already hosted the leaders of Israel, Japan, Jordan, and India. And next Monday, the president will host France's President Emmanuel Macron. And on Thursday, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will visit the White House as well. As you all know, over the past month, the president has taken questions from the press, all of you, nearly every single day. Sometimes on multiple different occasions in the same day, on any topic any of you wish to talk about. President Trump set the tone on this approach immediately when he took more than 12 times the questions in his first few hours in office, as Joe Biden did in his entire first week. Yesterday, we hosted a local media row here at the White House with television and radio stations from across the country that reached up to 60 million viewers and listeners. In our ongoing pursuit of transparency on this 1 month celebration, I am thrilled to bring 3 of my colleagues and our policy experts here at the White House to further recap this incredible first month of accomplishments in greater detail. We have Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller, the Director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, and our National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz. I will hand it over to them. They will deliver brief remarks on the accomplishments of this administration in the first month, and then we will open it up to Q&A. When we open up the Q&A portion, I do ask for the sake of efficiency in this room that you direct your question to the principal you seek an answer from, and I will call on you in this room. But first, I will let them roll through their remarks, and first up, I'll turn it over to Stephen Miller.
Thank you. It's great to be back. And I want to just thank you all for joining today, our 1 month celebration of the most historic opening to a presidency in American history. No president comes close to what Donald Trump has achieved over just the last 30 days. He has packed 8 years of transformative action, restoring this nation, restoring our laws, restoring fairness, restoring economic opportunity, restoring national security in just 1 month. No one in this country has ever seen anything like it. And when you look at the consequentiality and the significance and the transformative nature, the actions he's taking, it truly defies description.
Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller spoke for at least another 12, 13, 14 minutes, even though Karoline said brief comments, continuing to break down the many Trump accomplishments of the first 30 days. The president has another busy day on tap today. He'll be speaking at the governor's session, signing more executive orders, and participating in the swearing-in ceremony of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who could end up running the U.S. Post Office. I'll explain that in a little bit. The Senate confirmed Kash Patel as FBI director and then worked into the early hours of this morning on a budget bill. And Connor McDavid, widely considered one of the best, if not the best hockey player in the world, scored in overtime to give Canada a 3-2 win over Team USA, unfortunately, in the Four Nations Championship last night. There are plenty of headlines, plenty to talk about. But first, I want to go right to Rob Schmitt's interview with Elon Musk at CPAC yesterday.
Let me ask you this. A year ago, if someone had told you you'd be at CPAC and working with the president to absolutely shred the government, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, would you have ever believed that?
No.
No? Me neither.
But it's cool. This is awesome. And I just want to say, thanks for your support. I mean, you guys are, So, I mean, we're trying to get good things done, but also, have a good time doing it, and, and have, a sense of humor, So, I mean, the sort of the left wanted to make comedy illegal, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it was like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah. Legalize comedy.
And we've shifted the entire culture in just the last few months. The whole culture of this country has shifted dramatically just because of that election.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, freedom of speech, having fun again. It seems like we should have a good time, you know.
I mean, it's a great time. Everybody in this place is so excited, and I mean, when you talk to conservatives, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And everybody feels this great sense of relief because we were going to hell for about 4 years. It really felt bad.
Yeah.
Especially toward the end, it felt really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were sort of heading for a point of no return, really.
Yeah.
You know, until that's why it was so essential that President Trump win the election, and that there be a Republican majority in the House and Senate, which, thanks to you, that has been accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to ask you, one of the biggest questions I have for you is that you've been, you know, politically, you weren't really on one side or the other for a long time. You're a businessman. A lot of people, they stay away from it. Now you're on a side, and you've chosen a side. You're sitting here in a MAGA hat. What's it, you know, how did that happen? What was the moment
It's like,
you know?
dark Gothic MAGA.
That's a good one. Was there a specific moment? Was there a moment that it all changed?
Yeah, when I realized I was a fool. But no, I was, I guess, yeah, I mean, I'd say like I was politically neutral for quite a while. You know, leaning a little Democrat. You know,
How do you go from that to this?
Yeah, no,
How does that happen?
Well,
Did they go crazy?
Yeah, they did go crazy.
Yeah, they went crazy.
No, I mean, that whole cancel culture and you know, it's trying to stop freedom of speech and infringe upon, just in general, infringe upon people's personal freedoms. You know, they just want state control of what you say. They want to, you know, take away your guns. And the reason I want to take away your guns, so like there's nothing you do to oppose them. So it's sort of like, you know, I just like we just need to restore the fundamental elements of what made America great, which is freedom and opportunity.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of these freedoms disappearing in the West. It's not just about America. We're all watching Europe and knowing that they're about 50, 100 years ahead of us, right? Because they got an early start. And we're watching how they're devolving. And you're trying to save it from happening here.
No, I mean, in Europe, they put people in prison for memes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, that's insane.
And they're collapsing. I mean, this society it's a collapsing society. It feels that way.
It feels like
France was nicer 50 years ago than it is today.
Yeah.
I don't think you can question that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, really. Thanks. I love you too.
They do well.
I mean, I really just wanted to do useful things, like, you know, basically build products, you know, provide products and services that are good, and that I wasn't really like that interested in being political. It just like there was at a certain point no choice.
Yeah.
Elon Musk wasn't that interested in being political, but at a certain point there was no choice. That sentiment is what has recently led to so many people from so many different arenas, Hollywood, sports, business, to becoming political, right? That's basically the same thing Donald Trump said when he came down the elevator in 2015 and announced his candidacy, and said many times on the campaign trail as well that he didn't need to be there, could be having a nice life. The interview with Elon Musk was 33 minutes long, but I'll give you a little more of it.
What's it like from going neutral to being vilified, largely vilified by the media? Like you're,
what? No. Really?
I mean, you turn on some of these channels, brother. I mean, they're angry at you. Does it bother you at all? Does it get to you? Yeah.
I mean, when they're chanting for my death, I suppose that's a little, you know.
Not good.
But then, like, the song's not even that good, and it's like, Like, you call that a death chant? That's nothing. Please.
They've been singing a lot lately.
It's not even good music.
Yeah. There's a lot of music lately. It's not good music either, yeah.
Yes.
I would say that watching what you're doing with DOGE is just, people love it. I mean, I've always looked at the government and, I've always looked at the government and I've seen this big machine and you just know that they waste because they don't care. There's more money coming, they don't care.
Yeah.
You're cutting all this out. Everybody in this country knows that the government is full of waste, fraud, and abuse. And you're doing the work, and the Americans love it. Watching their reaction politically to this, I can't believe how bad they are at responding to this. I don't know how you're gonna sit there and scream and complain because they're cutting waste out of the government and try to win another election. How do you try to win on that?
Well, at this point, I'm not sure how much of the left is even real.
Yeah.
You know?
How much was propped up by our money, you know?
Yeah, like literally, you see like these sort of fake rallies where there's like hardly any people, and the media will like frame it and like, get all 6 people, in the frame, but there's like nobody else is there. Like just, it doesn't have popular support. But then you learn that like there's hundreds of billions of dollars going to these so-called NGOs. And it's your tax dollars that are funding things that are fundamentally anti-American.
And they're propping up their narrative.
Yes.
A lot of that government money has been propping up a left that I don't think is as strong as they made it seem.
In fact, a massive amount of your tax dollars is going to legacy media companies.
Yes.
Directly from the government.
The government wants to take over media.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. That's why we have X.
Yeah, and that's
why you spent $44 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I mean,
more than it was probably worth. But there was a message.
Freedom is priceless.
Priceless. Yeah.
The entire 32 minutes was so compelling to me, but this really jumped out at me. And then we'll get to some other stuff. This is talking specifically about DOGE saving money.
It just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying taxes, and then they say, oh, $1 million doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters a lot to people, So what are you talking about?
I'd like to have it.
That is the richest person in the world, worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Did you ever stop and think, if you had 999 million and I gave you another million, you'd have a billion? Elon has hundreds of billions, and he still understands the value of money and what it means to regular people. This is the Democrats' rising star, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas.
We are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
Not in the business of giving out money. That is all they do historically. And she doesn't know how $5,000 is going to help anyone or what $5,000 is going to do for you. Probably pay your mortgage payment, maybe 2 of them, or your rent for 2 months. But yet they thought $700 was going to help hurricane and fire victims. Weird. President Trump is scheduled to speak at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, tomorrow. Vice President Vance was also there yesterday and spoke with our Mercedes Schlapp.
The Right Squad's very own Mercedes Schlapp. She's not here today, but she's not slacking. She's not taking the day off. She interviewed Vice President J.D. Vance at CPAC today and doing much more there as well. And he finally got the standing ovation that he so earned at the Munich Security Conference last week with his great speech. The vice president went on to highlight the breakneck pace at which the Trump-Vance administration is moving.
It's February 20th. That means our first 30 days, the happy one-month anniversary of the Trump-Vance administration. I mean, how exciting is that?
It's very exciting. It's hard to believe we've only been in office for a month, because I think we've done more in a month than Biden did in about 4 years. Yeah. And thank God for that. But, the president keeps us on a pretty breakneck pace. He always asks, what have we done today? What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do next week? Because I think he realizes this is a special moment in time. I think the president is acutely aware that the American people gave us a window to save the country, and that's exactly what we're going to do, and thank God for that, because it's been a hell of a lot of fun the past month.
James, pretty great stuff. I got to say, Mercedes and the vice president were having a great time. The audience was loving it. And he did get the standing ovation that he should have gotten at the Munich Security Conference.
Absolutely. And I would say it's actually refreshing now to hear a vice president actually finish a coherent sentence and be able to articulate a message. So kudos to Vice President Vance on that, and to Mercedes. I think that's been a great conference so far from what I've seen. I would say the month, this last month, the comparison between the 4 years previous and this 1 month it's been incredible. And it's the promises kept, promises delivered notion that we've been hearing, whether it's economic relief for taxpayers, cracking down on our southern border, and just really re-emphasizing strength in American foreign policy. We saw that last week in Munich. We're continuing to see that. I think that's incredibly important. And that's what Americans want to see. They want to see America lead. We've always known ourselves as being leaders. It's time that we demonstrate that leadership on the international stage. I think the vice president is doing an amazing job at that. And
Jason, you're seeing it too, right? I mean, the United States is the lead dog now, and we're needed now. There's war in Europe. There's war in the Middle East. And now we're at the table everywhere you look, and progress is being made. And our border, the border numbers have dropped through the floor, and we're getting our house in order a little bit. I hope getting control of our money, and maybe we'll get a rebate. Maybe we'll start doing something about the deficit and the debt. God forbid.
Yeah, I think the United States has always been at the forefront of international relations around the entire world. It's never, not since, pre-World War II has the United States taken a second seat to anybody. So as far as, what the accomplishments were of the Biden administration, I think a lot of people forget. A lot of people forget bipartisan infrastructure. They forget the CHIPS Act. Best believe that all those Republican members of Congress, they're going to be at all the groundbreakings and smiling and talking about all the millions of dollars that have come to their districts. But that comes from bipartisan infrastructure, the PACT Act, the CHIPS and Sciences Act, the IRA. There's a lot of accomplishments. But I would argue that Trump won because he went out and said, we're going to lower prices for Americans. And thus far, it doesn't look like he has a plan for doing that. He actually said inflation is back. So I think it'll be, as you see his approval numbers creeping down, I think it's going to get dramatic very soon unless he does something to lower those prices.
He has said that you should expect that there will be a little pain in the short term while we're turning things around, and he's said that repeatedly.
Chris Plante, host of The Right Squad, 10 p.m. Eastern on Newsmax with Democrat analyst Jason Nichols and Republican strategist James Kimmey. I mentioned that the Senate worked until early this morning on the budget after confirming President Trump's nominee of Kash Patel as the new FBI director yesterday in a 51-49 vote. 2 Republicans voted against his confirmation. If I gave you 3 guesses, you would probably guess the 2. Susan Collins of Maine and Senator Murkowski of Alaska. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, who probably would have been one of your 3 votes because he voted against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, against Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and against Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. He did vote in favor of Patel. The 83-year-old McConnell, the longest-serving Senate leader in history, announced that he won't seek re-election as well yesterday, bringing an end to his 4-decade career in the Senate chamber. 4 decades. I'm pretty sure that's not the way Congress was meant to work, but you know what they say. It's good work if you can get it. More from Newsmax's Rob Finnerty, host of Finnerty, and House Speaker Mike Johnson.
It's official. Murkowski and Collins voted against him. Mitch McConnell voted for him and announced that he's not going to run again in 2 years. I guess my question is, which one surprised you more today?
Well, I'm glad he did it, and I want to tip my hat to Leader Thune and the Senate Republicans. They're getting the job done. The Trump cabinet is being confirmed. We need that. President Trump needs his team in place, and I'm really grateful that they're moving as quickly as they are, and they're setting a good pace. And so far, so good.
So, Mr. Speaker, only twice in, I believe, 85 years, has the president's party picked up seats in the midterm elections. But you are going to change that in 2 years.
We are. There's a lot of reasons for that. We're going to defy history, and we're going to grow the House majority in 2 years and not lose the majority. I think everybody recognizes President Trump needs 4 years and not 2. And if they took the majority back, they would try to impeach him. They would open the border wide. They would create all sorts of chaos. So we have to win, and we will. And let me tell you why. Because we have a very favorable landscape. Right now, as we're sitting here today, 13 House Democrats are sitting in districts that President Trump won pretty handily. That's right. There's more than 20 districts that President Trump came within 5 points of winning. So we've got a great landscape to go out and play offense, not defense, but offense, to flip those seats into our column. And on top of that, we had an historic demographic shift in the election cycle. We all saw it happening. We had a record number of Hispanic and Latino voters, Black and African American voters, Jewish voters, union workers, all these groups that had not traditionally been in the Republican Party, but on the sheer force of Donald Trump's persona, they came into the party, and they're going to be with us for quite some time, because now we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity, Rob, to demonstrate for these people that it truly is our conservative policies that are better for them, that leads to human flourishing. It's better for individuals, families, communities, states, and the nation as a whole. We do that, we'll hold this majority for quite some time.
Question I've wanted to ask you for a while. So before the election, Trump Force One, Donald Trump's personal plane, there was a photograph. I'm going to name you 4 people that were in this photograph. Kid Rock, RFK Jr., Elon Musk, Donald Trump, the 5th person, House Speaker Mike Johnson.
That's my crew, man.
Did you ever think that group would be together at 30,000 feet?
You left out Jelly Roll. I mean, it's a great group.
Yeah.
We went to the UFC fight. It was in Madison Square Garden, and we did a round trip to Palm Beach, to South Florida, in the same night. So we arrived back at Palm Beach about 4:25 in the morning, and everybody you just named was up like it was the middle of the afternoon, man. It was a great, great event. But look, that's the power of President Trump. He brings together all sorts of people who would not otherwise be unified like that. And it's a great thing for the country. It's unifying for the country. And there's talent, and it's a motley crew sometimes, but in a beautiful way. And that's been one of the highlights of being speaker, is hanging out with that crew.
Absolutely. And you fit right in.
Yeah.
You fit right in. Can you explain why the left and why so many Democrats are enraged at Donald Trump right now for trying to end 2 wars that he did not start?
I wish I could explain the Democrats. They're just enraged about everything. They think about it. Their policies and their parties are in totally disarray. They don't have a leader. They don't have a real vision forward. They don't know where they're going to head. The entire platform has been repudiated by the American people. The woke progressive nonsense has been stamped out. And so all they know to do is to lash out. I mean, think of it. They're opposing the ending of wars. They're opposing they're imposing the DOGE effort, right? What Elon and the team are doing is what Congress has not had the ability to do. They have cracked the code. They're inside the belly of the beast of the bureaucracy, and the algorithms are crawling through. That's right. They're exposing this massive fraud, waste, and abuse that we have not been able to uncover because the deep state has hidden it from us. This is a revolutionary kind of moment. It really is. And I told Elon in his office Monday before last, I said, you think of this like a scientist and a data analyst, and I think of it like a constitutional law attorney and a historian. Elon, what we're going to do here is bring back the founders' original intent for the federal government, right? I mean, Rob, you know, you're a student of history as well. The founders wanted a lean, small federal government. They wanted most of the power pushed down to the states, as you know, and they wanted the federal government to be closely monitored by the duly elected representatives of the people in Congress. The problem is, Congress has not been able to do that job because they've been hiding the evidence, hiding the ball. Elon's on the inside, and that's why the Democrats are so nervous. He is right over the target right now. Yeah.
And they didn't want members of Congress staying in Congress for decades. House Speaker Mike Johnson with Rob Finnerty. And along the way of the conversation, Johnson said he thinks that we need to pay down the credit card, meaning pay down debt before sending people tax refunds from DOGE. That soundbite is getting a lot of attention today, especially from the left. Elon Musk and President Trump are talking about 20% of the DOGE savings going to the people. So why not pay down some of the debt and pay the people? I know you may not agree with me, but the debt is so huge, we're just making a little dent in it. Why not pay the people? And there are people that really need it, regardless of what the Democrats say. I mentioned that the Senate early this morning passed a Republican bill promoting the president's policies on immigration, defense, and energy. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, no surprise, was the only Republican that did not support that bill. He was looking for tax cuts. President Trump has said that he prefers the House version of the bill that would include trillions of dollars in tax cuts.
Mr. Speaker, we keep hearing about this one big, beautiful bill. Tell me how big, how beautiful?
Oh, it's going to be so big. I shouldn't do it in that voice. So the beauty of reconciliation, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on the procedure, but normally you need a 60-vote threshold in the Senate to do anything of substance, but budget reconciliation is the one exception in the process where you only need 51 votes in the Senate, a bare majority. So we're going to use this reconciliation process to achieve most of the priorities that we ran on in the election cycle and that President Trump, that's right, committed to. So I could be here a long time listing all those things, but clearly it's the most important interest of the country. We're going to secure that border once and for all. We're going to do that. We're going to get the economy going again, American economy going, make sure that we don't have the largest tax increase in U.S. history, which is what would happen by default at the end of this year if we fail in this mission, because the TCJA, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act extensions expire, the cuts expire. We're going to get the economy going. We're going to get back to American energy dominance in this bill. Yep. And we're going to take a blowtorch to the regulatory state, get the bureaucracy back in check. Lots of details, lots of subcategories under all that, but it's going to be a big, beautiful bill, and it has to be by necessity because that gives us the highest probability of success, remembering that I have a small margin in the House. I have one vote for much of this. What could go wrong, Rob? It's going to be fine.
Right.
But everybody is committed to delivering the America First agenda, and that's why we're going to get it done. So.
House Speaker Johnson with Rob Finnerty. Notice that he didn't say anything about the tax cuts there, right? Which was the sticking point with Rand Paul and likely will be a point of contention in the House as well. And they can only lose one vote, as he said, which means there would likely end up being two bills. Remember the other day, the president said he would like that one big, beautiful bill, but two bills, three bills, whatever it takes to get it done, just get it done. This afternoon, President Trump is participating in the swearing-in ceremony of his friend Howard Lutnick as the new Commerce Secretary. Aside from how important the Commerce Department is to begin with, especially in the Trump agenda, with the Trump agenda, the Washington Post says the president is preparing to dissolve the leadership of the U.S. Postal Service, absorb the independent money-losing agency into the administration, and place it under the control of the Commerce Department. Howard Lutnick, citing 6 people familiar with the plan who say the president is expected to issue an executive order to fire members of the Postal Service's governing board. According to the White House calendar, the president is going to sign executive orders this afternoon. I wonder if that could be one of them. And the postmaster, Louis DeJoy, has already stepped down. Let's wrap it up with Wake Up America, covering Kash Patel's nomination.
Yeah, Patel reacting on X saying in part, quote, "The American people deserve an FBI that is transparent, accountable, and committed to justice and to those who seek to harm Americans. Consider this your warning. We will hunt you down in every corner of this planet." I think it's safe to say cash means business.
Absolutely. Joining us now, member of the House Judiciary Committee, South Carolina, Congressman Russell Fry. The vote showed once again, Democrats can throw up their roadblocks, they can whine, they can complain, they can have their little chance, but they can't stop the America First agenda and President Donald Trump. What do you think, Congressman?
No, I'm proud of the Senate for doing its job, working its will. Obviously, they're staying late. They're doing the people's business and making sure that we put President Trump's nominees in the cabinet positions in which he has assigned them, and that they immediately get to work for the American people. I think Kash Patel's confirmation is further evidence of just how much influence Donald Trump has within our conference, how in sync we are together as a team. We mean business, and Kash Patel is going to do a remarkable job at the FBI.
And we are officially into Donald Trump's second month in office. It's been a busy 30 days, to say the least. 73 executive orders signed. I saw your post on X saying wins everywhere. How would you assess the first month of the presidency?
You know, there's such a renewed optimism. I mean, you can kind of smell freedom in the air in our nation's capital again. People are excited. We've been in home and district on the House side this week, and we've had town halls. People are really engaged. They're not watching traditional television right now. They're watching the news because they just can't wait to see what President Trump does next. He means business. He campaigned on all of these things, and here we go off to the races right off the bat, and it's refreshing to see Washington have some true accountability again.
Yeah, so it says the president's going to have his first cabinet meeting next week, and that is going to be one full cabinet room. There's already been more administration officials confirmed faster than at any point since 2001. That includes the new Attorney General, Pam Bondi. She reacted to Kash Patel's confirmation on X, saying, in part, congratulations. I look forward to working closely with Kash to end violent crime, protect our national security, make America safe again. The one question I have for you, there's been so many things that conservatives, America First people want to see Kash Patel. What is the big thing you would like to see Kash Patel answer for you?
Well, I think the big thing is, you know, having served or serving on the House Judiciary Committee is returning the FBI to its original mission, right? For too long, it has been a politicized agency of the government. You have grandmas getting arrested for singing hymns in hallways. You have Catholics being labeled as extremists and parents being labeled as domestic terrorists for being involved in their child's education. Of course, not to mention spying on President Trump and his campaign. And so returning the FBI to a core function of government, which is law enforcement, non-politicized law enforcement. I think the challenge is great. The American people have never had more distrust in the FBI than they do right now. But that's about to change now that Kash Patel's has been confirmed.
South Carolina Congressman Russell Fry on Wake Up America with Charlotte McBride and Mark Lauder. In other news, the man accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson back in December will be making an appearance in a New York courtroom this afternoon. Luigi Mangione pleaded not guilty back in December to an 11-count indictment charging him with murder as an act of terrorism and a slew of weapons offenses. If convicted, Mangione could face life in prison without parole. He's now being held in a federal lockup in Brooklyn. On Wall Street, the final trading day of the not-so-great week started with the NASDAQ and the S&P in the green. The Dow was still down after losing more than 400 points yesterday. Bitcoin pushing up against 100,000 again this morning. Most other cryptos were higher as well. Gold was down $10 at $29.45. If you haven't been paying attention, gold is $55 away from being $3,000 an ounce. All right, be sure to keep up with all of the news and all of the day's breaking developments today and throughout the weekend on Newsmax, N2, and at Newsmax.com. Don't forget, President Trump is scheduled to speak at CPAC tomorrow, following a bunch of other great speakers there as well. You can see it on Newsmax. I'm Tony Marino. As always, thank you for listening to the Newsmax Daily. Hope you enjoy it. Whether you do or not, share it with your friends, your family, or anybody else. Have a fantastic and safe weekend doing whatever it is you love to do on the weekends, and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.